Good morning, everyone. I'm your host, Sachi, and welcome to AI Minute Mondays. Today, we're joined by Ken Johnston, who's the founder of AI GovOps Foundation, to talk about his recent article called Human in the Loophole. In the past, on many different sessions on AI Minute Mondays, multiple experts have spoken to us about the importance of adding a human in the loop to any AI workflow. But today we are here to talk about the effectiveness of that strategy. Is it just enough to add the human to the loop, or is there more to the problem than meets the eye? Let's find out. So, Ken, thank you so much for joining us on the show. And for the sake of our viewers, if you can share a little bit about your background, that would be great.
Oh, thank you so much. I have spent a lot of my career in corporate America, 25 years plus at Microsoft. And then I was at Ford Motor Company as an executive there, CEO of Autonomic, one of our online companies that managed 20 million connected vehicles. And recently I started the AI GovOps community because I thought at this point in my life and career, why not start a community? But I've been having fun and getting back into governance, which I spent more than a decade in, but getting back into it now has been a blast. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, Ken. So, moving on to our topic, in your recent article in your Friday Fail Fest series, you talk about human in the loophole. So, what exactly does this mean? And why is it that even when organizations go ahead and add this kind of human oversight, there's still a lot of failures and it doesn't give them the desired safeguards and benefits that they need from adding the human to the AI workflow?
Yeah, so let me be clear. I am a supporter of human in the loop. I believe it is one of our best tools right now to manage AI when it makes mistakes. But one of the things that I discovered in doing my research is that while there's not enough human in the loop right now, there are even places today where companies and organizations are putting a human in the review process and it's not working. So what is human in the loop? That's literally where AI is often involved in making a decision. And sometimes a good example is healthcare decisions for benefits. And you want to have a human review it. Another example is like cancer screening. Are you going to rely just upon the AI to make the decision, or is it an advisor? So you have humans in the loop, but the research is showing that human agency is starting to decay. And so is the human effective? And then there's also organizational aspects about empowering the humans that are coming into question. And that's really what the article was about.
Thank you. Thank you so much for elaborating on that. So, like you mentioned, that adding a human is important to an AI workflow. But if you just add a human to the loop without empowering them to act, and what you're noticing is that humans are more and more just becoming a check mark or an approver without really taking the initiative to go through and elaborate and figure out whether the AI is actually correct. And that's where a lot of these issues stem. So, can you give us some examples of some of these issues that you've seen?
Well, this article started with a case that I found shocking, which was a student in Purdue was kicked out of the school just before graduating. She had an approved exception to be able to use AI for dictation because of some limitations. However, their AI policy at Purdue said you can't use AI to create content. And so their automatic detection algorithm said she was using AI. Their policy says a human should be in the process of reviewing it. And even if there was, the human didn't go with the exception that was already approved. And so now she's got a court case. But the one that actually started me thinking about this the most is one I've tracked for about a year now. There's a healthcare company called Cigna, and they were using AI to do benefits analysis and suggesting approval or not approval. And so some smart lawyers decided to sue them. And Cigna said, well, we have human in the loop, so the AI doesn't final approve. Well, the lawyers pulled the logs, and when they did the math, they were able to show that on average, the human had 1.2 seconds to review each case.
Wow.
So, of course, Cigna settled out of court because there's no way you can explain to a jury in this day and age that a human had actual agency and ability to decline things if they're only getting 1.2 seconds. So that's when I started to say, ineffective human in the loop. But now I'm thinking of it as more of a loophole. We say we have humans, but we haven't set them up for success. We haven't empowered them. And even when we have the policies, are we actually even following our policies correctly? And so those are the loopholes, and we're shoving humans into it, and we're letting bad things happen.
Thank you. Thank you for elaborating on that. So, given the risks that you outlined, Ken, what are the practical steps that organizations should take to ensure that humans who are actually in the loop have the authority, the agency, the context, and the capacity to basically actually review the AI output rather than just go ahead and approve it without really taking a look at it? Or so,
Mhm.
what is it that organizations can do?
Well, I mean, the number one thing is to evaluate your human override. Are they declining, or are they staying relatively constant? Now, if they're declining, you have to check, is our AI becoming more accurate because we've been training it, or is this humans giving up and rubber stamping? But that's the number one thing, is to look at your human override rate in terms of it. And if it's zero, clearly you have no effectiveness at all in the process. And and so that's one thing to look at. The other thing to think about is making sure that they are properly empowered to and given time to make those decisions. So back to the Cigna example, it seems that in some of the court discoveries that there was pressure to make decisions quickly, that employees weren't supported properly. And so it's not just what's written, what's going on in your actual practices with your humans. So setting up the system successfully and then monitoring it to make sure that the program is working. It's the basics you would do with anything that you would do in software. We're just in AI, and we're dropping the ball too often.
Thank you. Thank you for outlining that. So, for all of our viewers, for the organizations who are listening in, this is a very key aspect that you need to be aware of. Just adding a human to the loop may not be sufficient because it might end up becoming human in the loophole, as Ken puts it. So, we don't need a rubber stamp. We need the human to actually use the agency, use the capability to go ahead and they should be given the right amount of time, right amount of options so that they can actually do the review and give the right output. And then, like Ken mentioned, there are so many ways in which you can, as an organization, look at it and say, okay, have I really empowered my people to be the right human in the loop and to take the necessary action? So thank you, Ken, for sharing that very interesting concept. And this is very relevant, especially in today's world, as more and more workflows are being replaced by AI workflows, and we need to basically make sure that the human is as effective today as in the past. So
Yes, absolutely. You're right. Thank you so much.
thank you. Thanks once again. Bye.